Hey, Chris Paul, probable to return tonight for Game 3 for the Suns. Will his return signal the end for Brandon's one-time Clippers? And back to Trae. He had the shimmy going last night. We're going to have Antoine Walker watch it, grade it, compare it to the most famous shimmy of all time. And with that, we say good Thursday morning, everyone. Oh, there it is. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna, Nick, Brandon, Kevin Wells. Brandon, you're the only former pro player. Give me a little shimmy, because if I do it, Nick will laugh and make fun of me for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's good, Brandon. That's good.
Brandon got it.
Yeah, I got a little rhythm.
You got to get Brandon in a good mood. You got to get Brandon in the mood to start. Let's start there. In Milwaukee, a dazzling Game 1 performance from Trae Young. 48 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. This was actually a tight game throughout, but Trae helped the Hawks go on a 17-8 run to come back and steal Game 1 from Giannis and the Bucks. Giannis played well, by the way. Came just an assist shy of a triple-double, but it wasn't enough. Hawks win on the road, and for Trae, another big performance on a big stage. Take a listen.
I'm all for the biggest moments, and I don't know. I feel like I've worked my whole life, and we've talked about it in our little conversations we've had, that just getting to the playoffs is something that I wanted to do this year. And as a team, and not making the last 2 years has been tough. And so just having that motivation that when we got here to be ready, it was definitely something that I was thinking about.
I wonder if it was cold in that room, and it was. Trae, just the second player ever to go for 45 and 10 assists in a conference finals or NBA finals game. Now joins Jerry West on that list. I know, it is remarkable. Nick, I'll start there. You ready to declare Trae a superstar?
Jenna, I'm not only ready to declare Trae Young a superstar, I will take it a step further. Trae Young is an arsonist. Trae Young has gone through these playoffs. Oh, the Knicks are back. MSG is rocking. I drove past 34th Street yesterday, and it's just a smoldering pile of ash above Penn Station. It's gone. And then, the whole process era. And Ben Simmons' maybe career in Philadelphia. It's just molten rubble on the side of Broad Street. And last night, this man was cackling maniacally while pouring gasoline all over Fiserv Forum. What we are seeing does not have precedent. A player this young in his playoff debut doing this through more than a dozen games now. Can we show America guys with as many points and as many assists as Trae Young through 13 playoff games? Because it is a hell of a list. Oh, it's Oscar, it's Luka, and it's Trae. And you see how Oscar and Luka have 2 different years next to their names? It's because they did it over 2 years of playoff runs. Trae, it's his first 13 playoff games. He's done it, and it's all in the same season. Last night, Brandon, he scored 48 in a conference finals game. Full list. Forget the rebounds. Forget the assists. Full list of guys to score 48 in a conference finals game. Michael did it once. Dirk did it twice. LeBron did it twice. That is it. That's any age, any amount of experience, any conference finals. Trae just did it. Brandon, if he's not a superstar, then we only got 2 or 3 superstars. He is without question a superstar, and I can't believe what he's doing.
Yeah, he was a superstar in college, but the problem is we see too many guys go from college to the league level, and they just fold. So you need to see it. We can actually go back to the Kobe Bryant tribute when he went out there and he dropped 45 points. on Kobe's night, and obviously it wasn't a great night for basketball, but in those biggest moments, what are you going to do? And then you go back to, fast forward to MSG and telling the crowd to shut the bleep up. Like, the stars, they find a way in the rowdiest conditions, in the toughest conditions, to perform at a high level. And then there's this other thing that stars do, Wilds, where, you play with the game, you manipulate the game. That whole shoulder shrug, that's confidence. Only guys who are super confident in their skin, in their game, and their ability actually play with the game. So this whole thing that he's doing where he's hunting for fouls, I mean, it just throws off everything the defense is doing, the opposing team is trying to do. It just breaks down the integrity of what they're doing. You don't know if he's hunting for a foul. You don't know if he's trying to set up another guy, pass the ball. You don't know if he's trying to set up his own shot. You don't know if he's going to continue to dribble and penetrate to the basket. What he is doing is just different. He's manipulating the game. He's playing with the game, and people just can't stop him. They don't know what to do, Wilds. He's absolutely a bona fide superstar, and he showed us so many different times over the course of his career going back to college. So, yes, Trae Young is a superstar, and it's just ridiculous to see what he and Nate McMillan is doing since they've taken over back in March.
Yeah, you know who knows that Trae Young is a superstar? Trae Young. Trae Young plays with the confidence of like Kanye West meets the guy who like free solo climbed up that mountain they made a documentary of. He has no fear, no matter what you do. You want to chant Trae is balding? Okay, that's fine. You want to hit me out of the timeout at MSG? Okay, going into half? Sure, it doesn't matter. There's nothing the Bucks can do to slow this guy down, Nick. And we talked about it before the show. I'm like, I'm not sure what budget. Should they hit him? He kind of likes that. Should they be more hostile to him? He kind of likes that too. The fact that he's throwing behind the back passes to Kevin Huerter. He's going off the glass passes for John Collins dunks. Great. He's doing the shimmy, which is I felt was insulting to the Bucks, and the Bucks kind of deserved it.
Let's go.
To me, I don't know what the Bucks' response should be. Giannis, I thought they were going to come out and do something. Whether or not it would have worked is up for argument. But like the fact that Giannis was like, hey, he did the shimmy on us, guys. We're in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is our house. Like, let's do something. And like, no, they didn't really do much. Brooke Lopez ended up tickling his hand. That's how much he was bothered. So I don't know what the Bucks are going to do. If Tom Thibodeau, who's like one of the great defensive minds, didn't have an answer, I don't know if Coach Bud is either.
Wilds, if I'd have told you for a slight, undersized scoring guard who is an amazing passer, pardon me, who are the worst matchups for him in the Eastern Conference? Well, you'd say the Knicks. They play physical. They're very good at defense. They have a tough-nosed coach. Philly, the #1 defense in the conference, plus Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Embiid at the rim, and the Bucks, who have been the best defense over the course of the last 3 years, and everyone on their team seemingly is 6'8", except for Jrue Holiday, who is the best defensive point guard in basketball. He's doing this. He's averaging 30 and 10 in a playoff run, Brandon, where he has, in theory, had the 3 toughest defenses in the conference to go through. And by the way, he's doing it. Cam Reddish got hurt during the year. DeAndre Hunter got hurt in the first round. And now Bogdanovich is a shell of himself. It's him, Capella, John Collins, and the Red Mamba, Kevin Huerter. And it's like, are you kidding me? He's just lighting these buildings on fire, and nobody can stop him.
He's in his bag right now, Nick. When you, as a player, no matter what sport you're in, you find the one thing, and I always ask guys when they come into the league, what is the one thing that makes you the best in the world at what you do? So for me as a wide receiver, I knew I was 6'5", 235 pounds, and I was always going to be bigger than a DB. And I leaned into that. I didn't go out there and try to move like Ocho Cinco. I didn't go out there try to run routes, like Marvin Harrison. I was like, I am the biggest receiver in the league, They need to feel my strength. So this whole little thing that he's doing when he gets to the high post, the spacing, the pacing of the game, it sets up everything. It breaks down the whole integrity. And you know, just to cap this off, all right, you know when you're a superstar when they change the rules for you. Go back to 1967. The NCAA put a no dunking rule in for who? Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah. Like, you can't dunk. So this whole thing that just freaks everybody out, where he starts hunting for fouls. Now the NBA is probably going to pass a rule this offseason. You're a superstar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he did it last night, Jenna, without hitting a ton of threes and without hitting a ton of free throws. He hit 10 free throws, but it was the mid-range stuff. It was the floaters. It was like, oh, my shot's not falling. I'll kill you in the mid-range. It was unbelievable, Jenna. It was unbelievul.
There was mid-range shots. He wasn't even looking at the hoops. He was just getting them in. Again, Hawks with the game one win over Milwaukee. How about this? They're now 6-2 on the road this postseason. So let's pause and talk about the Bucks, their side of things. How should Milwaukee fans be feeling this morning after that game one loss? This is First Things First on a Thursday morning. Back after this. Placing the draw in a blank. Giannis and the Bucks leading for a good portion of this game. But they let Trae and the Hawks storm back late, snap their 13-game home win streak. Hey, Brandon, the Bucks' game one loss should have Milwaukee fans feeling blank.
Not too low. Are you guys with me on that one? Are you following? That's just what Giannis been saying for what? All year. Yeah, like, don't get too high, don't get too low. You know, when you win a game, basically what he's saying is when you win a game or you're the superstar and everybody's cheering you on, you're the back-to-back MVP, you can't hang from the rafters. Because what's going to happen? Somebody's going to come chop your legs out from underneath you. And when you lose, don't hang your head down. You got to stay balanced. That's the perfect way, not only in sports, but just in life, period. So not too low. But this team is the real deal, and you can't afford to fall back 0-2. They're the real deal, and it's bigger than just Trae Young. Here's a play here where you can see it's bigger than Trae Young. It's coaching, it's defense, it's effort, it's everything. There is 30 seconds left in the game. They're down by 3. Hawks up by 3. They are searching for a 3. Look at the switch. Look at the communication. You got Middleton in the corner, and you're like, no, I'm not going to come off of Middleton because he's the one that can probably hurt us in this situation. They're switching on Giannis, and then all of a sudden you see Giannis go, and then you see Collins go help. That is communication. That starts with Nate McMillan, and then you see the effort. You see the sense of urgency. These guys know situational basketball, and that's why they're competing at a high level on the biggest stage right now, Nick.
And so, Brandon, I agree with all that for the Milwaukee players, but for the Milwaukee fans, I think they should feel anxiety-riddled. I think this morning they feel the way Mike Budenholzer looks at the end of all these close games. Look, what's happening
How
to
does
me?
he look?
This is our best chance to win a championship in 50 years. And last night, Wilds doesn't like when I do the physical comedy. He thinks it's mean. Wilds doesn't like it.
Keep going.
And last night, there was a moment where I was like, oh, Milwaukee got over the hump in that Brooklyn series. And we're now going to see a team that reminds you of last year's Lakers, where a game could be close for 40 to 42 minutes, and then in the last 6 minutes, the better team takes over.
Right.
Milwaukee was down 98-96, and then instantly went on a perfect 9-0 run. It was Giannis dunk, Giannis fadeaway, Giannis dunk and one. He missed the free throw. They get the rebound. They hit a 3. All of a sudden, they're up 7 with 4 minutes to go. And from that moment forward, Atlanta took over. That's concerning. And so if I'm a Bucks fan, I'm like, is Bud going to make the Brook Lopez adjustment? What are we going to do about Trae? We didn't come this far to beat Kevin Durant to then lose to the Hawks. So I think the answer is anxiety riddled if you're a fan of the Bucks. Wilds.
All right, I'm going to throw it to you in a second, Brandon, because I'm trying to become a better person, just like everybody in this world. So, and I take your advice to heart when you say don't go up too high, don't go too low, stay in the middle. because my original answer was horrible. I'm going to change it to moderately horrible. Watching the shimmy and watching the Bucks players stand there, like, oh, I have a visceral reaction to it. This is the Eastern Conference Finals. This is Kevin McHale clotheslining Bill Laimbeer. And the fact that people are walking around makes me want to jump through my screen. But, Brandon, I will try to level it out. Because the Bucks also were down by 50 at one point to the Nets. And they were able to sort of like, hey, we're not too high, we're not too low. We got destroyed, and they ended up winning the series. So I'm going to change my answer from horrible to moderately horrible and relax and drink more water and less caffeine. I'm trying, but
all the people out there that's trying to reach peak performance and tap into what Giannis is saying, not too high, not too low. The book is Body Mind Mastery by Dan Millman. Go get the book; it'll teach you that. But here's the deal, really quick, Nick. You keep talking about concerning. Like, we know what's concerning is that you actually just said that the Bucks got over the hump, or you thought the Bucks got over the hump against the Nets. The Nets, James Harden and Joe Harris. You just gave me another opportunity to talk about the Nets, buddy. Come on. James Harden get over the hump.
James Harden
one leg.
They were there.
One leg.
They were there.
One leg.
No, they were there. And Joe Harris, you got to stop talking about Joe Harris. Joe Harris was there. He just stunk. Act like Joe Harris quit.
Right. Weird and wonderful from the world of baseball. Luke Voigt walked off from the Bronx last night. Get the Yanks a win over Knicks' hometown Royals. Walk-offs, always wonderful in baseball. Wilds, what else you got for us?
Oh, Angels, Giants, 2 outs, top of the third. The shift is on. Ground ball to Jose Iglesias. Touches second and keeps on running. You're always talking about speeding up the game. Jose Iglesias doing his part. Angels lose in 13 innings by a score of what? 9-3? Yeah, true story. Didn't go totally weird and wonderful, but that's added bonus there. Dodgers, Padres, bottom of the third. Pitcher versus pitcher. Padres pitcher Joe Musgrove loses his bat. Trevor Bauer's like, hey, do you want some rosin? It's kind of like a topical humor thing I'm doing about the sticky stuff. And the announcer's like, what is he supposed to do if he has pine tar? Wash it off? Yeah. Just have some baby wipes in there. There's tons of stuff in baseball. So if you have pine tar, wash it off with baby wipes. The way it goes. Finally, to the weird National Phillies. Max Scherzer in a much better mood than yesterday when he was so upset. He's like, hey, check Bryce Harper for a hair product. He's like, good one. I get it. More topical humor. You guys are doing great. Also, just for the record, I actually researched this. Bryce Harper has a line of dry shampoo and clay from Blind Barber. So go check it out. If Blind Barber, if you want to send me some, I'm not sure if it's an FCC violation or not. But hey, check it out. And that's your Weird and Wonderful from the National Pastime, Jenna.
Wilds, weird and wonderful. Yes, great job today. But where's our guy? Nick, where's our guy? Yeah. We want our guy back on this block.
He abandoned
neither weird nor wonderful things have happened. Hey,
everything that involves him is wonderful. Everything that involves him is wonderful, Wilds. You need to get it. I've looked at the ratings.
I'll try it.
People demand it. Okay, thank you.
Hey, let's head out west. The Suns look like they'll be getting Chris Paul back tonight. Will CP3's return end the Clippers' title hopes? Find out next. We'll find out next. We'll talk about it next. This is First Things First. Back here in First Things First. Can we talk about the Western Conference Finals now? The Phoenix Suns jumped out to a 2-0 series lead over the LA Clippers with a win the other night. What's better than that? Oh, I don't know. How about getting Chris Paul back, your veteran leader, tonight for Game 3? Right now he's listed as probable. That is good. Meanwhile, for the Clippers, Kawhi still remains sidelined with that knee injury. That's not so good, Brandon. Let me ask you, will CP3's return be the final nail in the Clippers' coffin? This was your team. You were on board, then you were off board. You're still off board. I don't know. What do you think?
Stop it. No, stop it. What happened was when they started emerging back in February, Jenna, everybody was like, oh, don't talk about the Suns. Like, no, this is a really good team. Like, we do not talk about the Suns on this show. And that was Chris, and that was Nick. That's what happened. Okay? So, yeah, I picked the Clippers to come out the West. But the reality is this, because I like to deal with reality. It's going to be almost impossible for them to come out of a 0-2 deficit 3 series in a row. That's the reality. So whether it's a nail in the coffin, whatever you want to call it, or the dessert, CP3 coming back changes things totally. Like, without Kawhi Leonard, now you don't have that extra perimeter defender that can guard these guards. So Paul George, he's been doing a phenomenal job, but he can't do it alone. CP3 is that guy where he could come in and impact the game in so many different ways. We've seen that. The biggest thing that he provides is leadership. Let's go back to the first series with Bridges. Bridges, after that series, said, CP3 cussed me out. I didn't like it, but I took it, and it made me better. There's only a few guys in professional sports that can really hold their team accountable, say what they want to say, push them to the limits like you saw Michael Jordan do, and guys still respond and still respect them. And then you look at CP3 and his ability to push Ayton. Ayton's a superstar. You can say he's probably better than CP3, but he pushes him. Go to the sideline. Ayton's not getting back on defense. What does he do? He's chewing them out. That's what he provides. Situational basketball, clutch moments, to be able to communicate and say, guys, this is what's happening. I've been here so many times. I'm telling you what's going to happen. And then, oh yeah, like Nick said last week, he can easily go and drop 30 points if he wanted to. So CP3, to me, Nick, is the guy that comes in this situation, this series, that's like just the dessert. That's all this is right now, because the series is pretty much over, man.
Yeah, so, and that's not an indictment on the Clippers. One of the problems with falling down 0-2 is not only that, as Brandon's been talking about, you have a less than 7% chance of coming back from it. It's if you do come back from it, unless it's in the finals, what are you going to have left for the next series? And now the Clippers, in the very unique and incredibly rare situation of falling down 0-2 in the first and second round and coming back from both of those, what are you going to have left for the conference finals? So this will be the Clippers' 16th game in the last 32 days. They have played every other day since the start of this month. From June 1 to now, they have played every other day. Tonight is the Clippers' de facto 5th elimination game of the playoffs. If you consider if you go down 3-0, you're out, then game 3 in the first, second, and third round were de facto elimination games, and game 6 and 7 against the Mavericks were actual elimination games. I just think they're out of gas. And the Suns are in the exact opposite position. The Suns have had so much rest. Suns, it's like, oh, beat the Lakers in 6, get 4 days off. Sweep the Nuggets and the alleged MVP Jokic, get a week off. And now the only old guy on their roster in Chris Paul, and I understand he was dealing with the COVID protocol, but if he was asymptomatic and okay, he just all of a sudden got rest. When his history in the playoffs has been his body breaks down. So you have a Suns team that Wilds not only hasn't faced elimination, they haven't been in a stressful situation since the first half of game 4 against the Lakers in round 1, save for 5 minutes of the fourth quarter the other night. They've trailed for 25 seconds in the fourth quarter in the last 25 days. So, I just think the Suns are rolling. They are healthy-ish. They are feeling great. And the Clippers, it's like, not only were they out of bullets, they've now thrown the gun. They've done, what do they got left? I don't know that they got much left.
Oh, see, I think they got plenty left. I think they got a lot left, in fact.
Wow.
Because we know for 3 reasons. One, I do. Because, look, Ty Lue seems like sort of the marathon runner who starts his kick after mile 10. He likes to see the first 2 games and then starts to change. He starts to speed up. It worked against the Mavs. It worked last time. So I want to see it. I want to see what Ty Lue has against this team now with Chris Paul back. Reason number 2. The Clippers, oddly, when you talk about energy, haven't had the full stadium since Game 7 against the Jazz. And you could see sort of the Clippers fans, who are not notoriously like the most rowdy bunch, just a lot of times because there's a lot of, there's just isn't. I'm sorry, Charles. They're not like the most awesome fan base, but they were able to sort of come together and really propel that comeback against the Jazz. And reason number 3 is, and I think it's going to be a lazy take. It's a lazy take that we saw. Pandemic P's back. Oh boy, here we go. He missed those free throws.
Oh, I don't think that.
Look, he missed the free throws. I know. No, I'm not accusing you of saying it, but it was out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, Paul George played awesome in that last minute. He did. He scored 6 points in like 56 seconds. He hit 2 free throws. He answered Booker's shot. He had a driving layup. He missed 2 free throws. It's like, yeah, he missed them, but even after the game, and I think it's kind of weird to be like the body language expert, but Paul George looked confident after that game. We've seen him be sort of down and out. So I think Paul George has a chance to sort of get rid of his like the nonsense playoff or way off P stuff. They have to go to him, so he's going to play well. And I think that all the Clippers fans are going to be rooting for him. I think Clippers win this one, Brandon.
But here's the problem, though, Wilds, and it's exactly what Nick said. I believe they're out of gas. And just go to last game. Now, they didn't have too many turnovers. It wasn't bad. They had 10 turnovers. But there were so many times where you saw your boy, who you're talking about, guy who I respect a lot because of what he's overcome since the bubble from a mentality and mindset standpoint. But you saw him not force, just turn the ball over. And it just looked like, man, he was tired. We're talking about just dribbling the ball off his leg a couple times in big moments of the game. And it wasn't because he was playing like it was just bad basketball. It was just he didn't have his legs. He looked tired. It just reminds me, obviously I didn't play in the NBA, but it reminds me of those moments playing at East Bank Club in Chicago and playing against guys that, like you, Wilds, because I know you play basketball and you say you got a nice shot. But it's like I'm out there in the conditioning. The conditioning is just different. Basketball conditioning is just different. And you're looking at, I got to go all out on offense because you got Wiles jacking up these shots and he won't miss. And then on defense, so I got to keep up with him. And then on defense, I got to do my thing. And then there's times where it's like, man, we just need 2 more points. And I'm just gone. I'm done. And then turnovers here, turnovers there. That's what it looked like to me. So Paul George playing well, getting over the hump. He looks shot, Nick.
And by the way, I want to be clear here. I wouldn't be shocked if the Clippers win tonight. I'd be shocked if they win the series. Now, it should be somewhat shocking at this point whenever anybody beats the Suns, because it hasn't happened since LeBron was shimmying on Jay Crowder, which feels like it happened during the Obama administration. Like, that feels so long ago, but that was the last game they lost when Andre Drummond was doing the pantomimes on the sideline. But Wilds, I need to translate for the audience some of what you were talking about, the playoff P slander, because it is a first cousin, or the missed free throws stuff. It's a first cousin of the Kevin Durant slander. And it's something I think a lot of the audience expected me personally to engage in. So much of the criticism of KD's overtime and of Paul George's 2 missed free throws is folks angry at how LeBron has been covered and lashing out at everybody else. That's all it is. Like you heard it in the commentary. What you heard was, can't let him off the hook. If LeBron plays great for 7.5 minutes, but misses free throws, he gets killed. And with the KD stuff, it's like, can you imagine if LeBron airballed the game winner? It is folks responding to irrational criticism of their guy by irrationally criticizing others. And it's something that I am doing my best, and I think, if I may pat myself on the back, I've done a good job of not engaging in myself, but that's what's happening. What's happening is there is a lot of guys who feel like LeBron has been so unfairly covered, and now he's not in the playoffs, and we're seeing a lot of other great players have great games with a singular tough moment near the end. We're like, put him on the barbecue the way we would do to LeBron. Paul George didn't play a great overall game in game 2. But to your point, he hit the jump, hit the 3 when he was 0 for 7 from 3. That was huge. Then he hit the pull-up jump shot. He split the defense and got the layup. He did everything other than make those 2 free throws. That's going to happen occasionally. I don't view that as a choke. I view it as, listen, it was a tough spot. And I don't think Paul George, I think he's done enough since Kawhi got hurt in particular, Wilds, to shed some of that, oh, he's not tough, the moment's too big for him. You don't have the games he had in games 5 and 6 if the moment's too big for you.
I totally agree. I think you get 40 tonight. And one final thing, Jenna, there's going down 0-2, and then there's going down 0-2. And I think the Clippers were like, you know what? They took a miracle shot with 0.8 seconds to beat us. Yeah, we were down 0-2, but we could have easily won that game if it was just an inch over here, or if Zubac didn't. I think they feel totally fine. Yeah. It's not a demoralizing loss. It was an amazing game, but I feel we're right in that. We can go back to Phoenix and steal some if we take care of business at home.
Also been there, done that for the Clippers. This is the 3rd time around, so see if they can do it again. All right, time for Nick to hand out NBA playoff medals. Check out Trae Young setting up John Collins off the backboard for the alley-oop. Oh, this is a beauty. Boom! Right there. The play was almost medal-worthy by itself, but Collins just missing out on a medal. Nick, which 3 guys did it better last night?
Collins just misses out, and Drew Holiday, who was excellent, just misses out. But we can't give 2 medals to the losing team, so he doesn't get it. Here's who does get it. Bronze medalist, NBA rebounding leader, Clint Capella. 12 and 19 last night, including a massive play late when Trae, oh, there it is. I didn't even know we were going to show it. Great job, producers. Where he gets the offensive rebound. It's just a massive play late in the game. He gets the bronze. Silver medal, Giannis. I thought Giannis was unbelievable last night. 34, 12, and 9. By the way, I'm not worried about him at the free throw line anymore. I think that chanting in Brooklyn actually got him in a good rhythm. Giannis, decent from the foul line. Not enough, though, last night. Of course, the gold medal, though. Trae Young, 48, 7, 11. Joins LeBron, Michael, and Dirk as the only people ever to score 48 in a conference finals game. Joins Jerry West as the only guy ever to have 45 and 10 in a conference finals or NBA finals game. Just a remarkable performance start to finish from Trae. Brandon, there's your medal stand.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, look, I feel like you missed something. This team could have gotten the bronze. This team could have maybe even been considered for missed the cut. The Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, had a phenomenal plane trip down to the Bahamas to go fishing. So, you could have, we talked about this in the regular season where they had off nights and the recovery nights was great. You all right? Can we consider them maybe next time?
They're going to have a lot of nights of recovery, Jenna. They're going to have a lot of nights of recovery.
I can't
a lot of nights.
believe the Nets missed the cut. Wild, who else besides the Nets missed the cut?
I will go off the board here from basketball. Look, this is a suggestion to Aaron Rodgers. We don't know how your situation is going to play out, but if you are going to go back to the Packers, why don't you go hang out with Bakhtiari and chug a beer to announce it? It would be great. It would be beloved. Everybody would be wonderful. But right now, I don't know if this is celebratory drinking or a little bit like drowning your sorrows until we find out what Aaron Rodgers is going to do.
It's not the same. Not the same. I like the kid in Tennessee.
Try that one time and he couldn't get through the beer. Back with our noted shimmy expert, Antoine Walker. What grade will Twan give Trae for his shoulder shimmy last night? You're not going to want to miss it. It's next. It's first things first. Back here, first things first, we got 3-time All-Star Antoine Walker back with us now. We're talking about last night's Game 1 in Milwaukee. 2 of the best players left in the playoffs on full display. An offensive explosion from Trae Young. He gave you 48 points. He had his hands on just about everything in this one. And don't leave Giannis out. An assist shy of a triple-double in the losing effort. But Antoine, let's zoom out. Who's the best player left in the playoffs? It doesn't have to be these 2. Maybe it is. But who do you think is the best player left in the playoffs?
Jenna, those two guys have had tremendous playoffs, and they've been great. But to me, it's Devin Booker. I just believe Devin Booker is the best player left in the playoffs. Wow. When you think about his numbers, he's close. He's percentage points away from being a 50, 40, 90 guy. When you look at the quality of competition that they played, they had to start off going through the NBA champions. He was terrific. They sweep Denver. He was very consistent. We know Chris Paul had a monster series. And then to go take a 2-0 lead without Chris Paul. I could never imagine them being up 2-0 without Chris Paul just because of what Chris Paul has done for this team. So it basically lets me know who's the most valuable player and the best player right now in the playoffs that's left, and that's Devin Booker. To be able to, I think he broke his nose. It looked like it's broken. He broke his nose to be able to get back in the game and tough it out and make two huge shots down the stretch. I just think Devin Booker is right now on his way to being one of the elite players in this league, a top 10 player. So I think he's the best player left right now in the playoffs.
All right, so I agree with a lot of that, including that, you know how I knew Devin Booker's nose was probably broken? Because for a moment there, Devin Booker's nose looked like mine. I'm like, that ain't great, that's broken. Mine's not broken, it's just an anomaly. So yeah, his nose definitely broken, and he played through it. He had a tough night in game 2, and still, we forget about it because how crazy the end of the game was. Hit that pull-up mid-range jump shot, which they had to have to get him up 1 before Paul George retook the lead. So Booker's been awesome. But the best player left in the playoffs is Giannis. And I'm not sure it's actually as great as Trae has been, as excellent as Booker has been, as great as Chris Paul was before he got knocked out with the protocols. I don't know it's that close. And I know we focus on what Giannis can't do. So I want to use a comp of another guy who is an all-time great player, who a lot of the things Giannis can't do, he couldn't do either. And nobody ever doubted how great he was. And that is Shaquille O'Neal. Can we show the graphic, please? This is Giannis this postseason and Shaq at his apex. Those are Shaq's playoff numbers the 3 years the Lakers won the title. Points, basically identical. Shaq's got him by 1 in rebounds. Giannis has him by 2 in assists. Field goal percentage, almost identical. Free throw percentage, almost identical. Now, could you rely on Shaq at the free throw line? Nope. Late in the game, could you just give the ball to Shaq? Maybe, but if he got fouled, it was a huge problem, which is why Kobe was so important. Also, they didn't play that many close games during most of those championship runs, except for against Sacramento and Portland, so it wasn't an issue. And while I wasn't in the media during Shaq's career, during the prime of Shaq's career, I was a diehard basketball fan and a consumer of it. And while he got criticism for the free throws, nobody ever doubted how dominant he was. Now, maybe it's because, Brandon, he was such a physical force, it was so obvious to the eye. But Giannis is just a different type of physical force. And those numbers, sometimes numbers lie. Those numbers aren't lying. He is giving you what prime Shaq gave you in the postseason. So to me, he's clearly the best player left in the playoffs.
Right. And yeah, Shaq won championships, and Shaq also, like you said, had Kobe, he had D. Wade. So they were able to cover up a lot of those challenges, a lot of those mistakes that, or I would just say challenges that Shaq had down the stretch. So Giannis don't have that. And guys, I can't answer this. I'm going to be honest, you know, sitting here trying to rack my brain around this 6 a.m. in the morning, like, okay, how do I answer this? Who is it? And I can't. Anything I would throw out there, it wouldn't be real. So when you talk about Giannis, there's a conversation with Giannis because everything you said, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, an easy 30, an easy 10. Like, and this is every single night, but we criticize him because of what Nick just highlighted. But that is a big deal. You are a superstar. You are the 2-time MVP. But we're just talking about the playoffs and Trae Young, what he's done in 3 series in a row. It's been lights out. It's been sensational, and he's done it with the flair. He's done it with the swagger and the Twan little shoulder shrug, the shimmy. So you got to have him in that conversation. And then also Paul George, you know, maybe not so much of an argument, but when Kawhi went down, he just took off to a whole nother level. And then you got Booker, what you said, and then CP3 is an argument, and then Wilds. I would say this too. People might curse me for this. Chris Middleton. If Chris Middleton played the way played on the road the way he plays at home, it wouldn't even be a debate. Chris Middleton would be the best player in the playoffs, but he can't do it on the road, so that's why he can't even be in discussion. So I can't answer it, Wilds. I really can't.
Yep. He can't do it at home either. And if Chris Middleton's best chance of sort of coming out of his funk is to just like literally rub up against Trae Young and try to take some self-confidence in some of the jumper, and then maybe he can play a little bit better. Nick, I thought your graphic was super interesting, and I'm not going to like push back and argue with you. If we could throw it up again, it would be great, but if we can't, it's all right. Why doesn't it feel that way then? I am not watching these games and being like, man, Giannis feels like prime Shaq. And I know, and you did a great job with the numbers. It just doesn't feel like that at all. And maybe it's just the Kobe factor, that at the end of the game, you could go to an all-time great to get you a bucket. But last night, when Giannis is out there setting picks, and Pat Connaughton airballs a shot, and then Giannis has to like volleyball a shot back into the backcourt in desperation. It just feels not dominant.
I think there's two reasons.
Let's just say that. It doesn't feel anything like it, and I don't know why.
I think there's 2 reasons. One is Shaq almost never did anything out of his comfort zone, meaning he never looked awkward. Giannis, like, somehow is still working stuff out during the games. And so he will take the bad 3 or the really tough mid-range jump shot that Shaq flatly never took. Now, the fact that their field goal percentages are identical, the only way that math works means that Giannis is actually more efficient at the rim than Shaq is, because Shaq didn't have 28% from 3 dragging it down. So I think that's one part of it, is you never watched Shaq and was like, what are you doing? The other thing, Antoine, and you can speak to this obviously infinitely better than me, because not only did you play against Shaq, but you won a championship with him. And while Shaq wasn't Apex Shaq when you guys won the title, he damn near won the league MVP the year before. He should have. That was one of Nash's 2 stolen MVPs. And he was a dominant force. I think because of Shaq's overall size, I think it looked like guys were more helpless than anyone ever looks against Giannis. Giannis is obviously a physical freak. His name's Greek Freak. But I don't think, I've never watched, because I didn't watch Wilt, anyone ever make other pros look smaller and more helpless than Shaq did, even if the numbers are the same. So I think that's the answer to Wild's question. But you having played against him and won a championship with him, I want to know what you think.
Well, I love the graphic. I think that was great to point that out, Nick. I think sometimes we have to stop and think how great Giannis is and how good he is, and sometimes he gets criticized a lot. So when you put it up there with a guy like Shaq, those numbers are very impressive. My problem with Giannis is that I can't go to Giannis late, so he cannot be the best player in the playoffs right now. I can go to Devin Booker late, and I know he's going to deliver. I know he can make a big shot, and I know he's going to make his free throws. Giannis, I don't know. The question mark is I don't know if he's going to get it done for me. And also, Nick, I don't think Giannis can win a game without Chris Middleton playing good. If you look at these playoffs, when Middleton plays well, they win. Last night he goes 0 for 9, I think 6 for 23. They lose. This has been consistent throughout the playoffs. When Middleton doesn't play good, Devin Booker went and won and had a triple-double without Chris Paul. And he also is 2-0 without Chris Paul. I don't know if Giannis can get it done without Middleton having a big game. So that's why I separate the 2. And we know Giannis is great. I love him. I'm a big Giannis fan. I compared him to, LeBron and trying to take over that title of being the best player in the league for a while. But Devin Booker is the best player left in the playoffs right now. hands down, easy. I'll give him the ball later.
And
with any of the superstars left in the game, he gets it done.
And Antoine didn't mention this, Jenna, but the other thing Devin Booker has in his favor is he's a Kentucky Wildcat, like Antoine. I'm just
Big movement.
Kentucky
All right,
Wildcat.
I got a Giannis question. It's a pretty basic question. Can he get the Bucks back on track tomorrow night in Game 2? Because he sort of has to. We'll discuss that next. Antoine, thank you, as always. Have a great day. Well, it's too late. Back here, first things first. Time for Stories to Start Your Morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Can we talk some Bucks and Hawks? Because the headline, clearly, Trae Young, the superstar stud, went off for 48 points, and yet this was still a tight game late until he helped them pull away. Atlanta wins. First time Giannis has lost to Trae in his career. He came in 5-0 in head-to-head matchups. Nick Wright, what chances do you give the Hawks in this series after Trae's Game 1 masterpiece, if I can call it that?
All right, I've got good news for the Atlanta Hawks. I have picked you to lose every series in this postseason, and you have not lost a series yet. I'm going to continue to pick you to lose, at least for the time being. I don't think that, listen, I do think Trae is going to continue to be great, but 48, 7, and 11 has never been done in a conference finals prior to last night. And Chris Middleton should be better, but Drew Holiday probably won't be quite as good. I think what Giannis did, he'll do for the most part night in, night out. And this is where I think Milwaukee's better, Milwaukee's healthier, and they have the best player in the series. With respect to Trae, I think Giannis is clearly the best player in the series. My trepidation comes here, Wilds. Bud's going to need to make some adjustments. And Brandon's been singing the virtues of Nate McMillan, and he is right. And Nate McMillan appears to be doing a great job, and Bud is being Bud, and the adjustment's obvious. You're not going to be able to do this drop coverage on Trae, which means you're going to have to take Brook Lopez out of the lineup, or Trae's just going to keep killing you. So I think the Bucks are the better team. I think the Bucks are going to win, but I also think Bud's going to need to make a major adjustment. A major adjustment.
Nick, stop doing that.
Know.
We all did that. Go ahead, Wild. Sorry, Bud.
No, I'm just stealing the ball. I get so excited when we're talking about Coach Bud not making adjustments. I can't contain myself, so I apologize. He's allowed Kevin Durant to score 48. He allowed Kevin Durant to score 49. Trae Young had 48. So I don't think he's going to do anything. I think, if anything, the Nets series gave him bad information. We're like, woof. Oh, I escaped it. Like, you escaped that series by Kevin Durant's shoe size. That's it. That was not great coaching last series, and I think it gave him bad data that they can stay with the same lineups and not make adjustments and escape. I think they're going to have to do something. If they do, it'll be all right, but if they don't, I think Trae Young has continued to cook his way through this tournament, just like an NCAA star, where you start to see a guy perform so well and throw passes behind his back and give alley-oops off the backboard and shimmy before you take a shot. You're waiting for him to go to the next level. Problem is, there is no next level. The guys are doing it at the highest level of basketball. So if Coach Bud makes adjustments, yes, the Bucks can win. If they don't, it's going to be Trae Young City, Brandon.
Right, and look, I'm glad you're with me. And Nick, I don't know how you're angling this thing, because you said, I picked against them and I'm going to do it again. This team is really good. So I don't know where you're angling from, but I feel like we all missed out on really talking about this team going back to early March. This team is really good, man, and a lot of us think that it's like the Cinderella story, and it's not. They are the hottest team since Nate McMillan have taken over. Let's check out the graphic. Like, the numbers don't lie. These are real. These are facts. When we talk about the Suns, we talk about Atlanta, we talk about the Sixers. These guys are a complete team. And it's not just Trae Young. Yeah, we've been talking about Trae all morning because of the night he just had. But if you go and watch that game, the way they communicate, the way you can tell they're really coached because of how they're moving in transition and situational basketball. This is a prime example. It's 30 seconds to go in the game. They're down by 3, meaning the Bucks, so everybody knows they need a 3. They're gunning for a 3. Look at how they're playing it. You got Middleton out there who is struggling a bit, but he's a guy that can hit that dagger 3. But then you're looking at how they're switching, how they're communicating, the sense of urgency that collapse on Giannis. That is a testament to Coach McMillan. That's also a testament to all those other guys. That is not Trae Young because of the sense of urgency and how they're just they're on one accord. So when you say the chances are great. Now, it's going to be tough, but this is the real team. This is a real team. This is the real deal, Nick.
They've looked
all
like
right,
it.
Before you jump in, Nick, I want to jump out west to the Western Conference Finals. Suns with a 2-0 series lead over the Clippers with a win the other night. So what's better than that? Well, how about news that they might be getting Chris Paul back for tonight's Game 3? He's listed as probable. For the Clippers, Kawhi still remains sidelined with that knee injury. Nick, you think CP3's return is the final nail in the Clippers' coffin?
So here's the deal. I think that the Clippers deserve massive credit for overcoming what they overcame in round 1, for overcoming what seemed insurmountable in round 2 after Kawhi went down. But there is a cost to that, Brandon, and the cost is they are now tonight playing de facto their 5th elimination game. Game 3 of every series has been an elimination game. Can't come back from 3-0 in the NBA playoffs. And Game 6 and 7 against Dallas were actual elimination games. Tonight will also be their 16th game in the last 32 days. They have played every other day for a month. Meanwhile, the Suns got half a week off after beating the Lakers. They got a full week off after smoking the Nuggets. And now they're getting Chris Paul back. I just think the discrepancy between rest and wear and tear is so great that it's too big. I think it's too big of a bridge to cross, even though we know some Ty Lue adjustments are coming. I think Clippers could win tonight. I don't think they can win the series, Brandon.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I can't see them doing it 3 series in a row. This is tough for me, obviously, because I picked the Clippers to come out of the West. And when Kawhi went down, everybody felt like it was impossible. Nobody knew what Paul George was going to do. So now you lose Kawhi, you lose CP3, and the Suns still go up 2-0, and now he's coming back. This is icing on the cake. This is the dessert right here. This dude coming back, he presents so many different challenges from a leadership standpoint, getting guys going wild, and then also he can drop 30 if he wanted to. So he is just the icing on the cake.
I'll tell you what, Clippers win tonight. Paul George goes for maybe 40 is going to be my prediction. I hate to break it to all you Paul George haters out there that want to keep on talking about way off peak. Paul George played awesome in the last minute of that game. He did. He played great. They lost on a miracle shot. Yeah, he missed the free throws. He still played great. He's going to have an awesome game tonight, Jenna.
Wild just comes so far, Jenna, from never revealing his Blazers prediction. Now he's giving specific predictions. I love it.
We got to go.
It's great.